there, I am Bonnie McCaffery, and thank you so much for coming back for another VidCast. And I am here with Renae Haddadin, who is an award-winning long-arm quilter. You know how I met Renae? I met Renae standing next to her quilt while I was standing up next to my quilt in Houston. And Renae, your quilt took first place and mine got third. So I was always standing there thinking, oh, Renae got first. But, you know, after seeing Renae's quilt, it really should have won first. So, you know, it's a gorgeous quilt. And the name of that quilt is?
Ring Around the Rosie.
Yeah, oh, and that's a beautiful quilt. Tell me about that quilt.
It has embroidery on both sides. That was the category.
Right.
And it was the first time that I tried to put embroidery on both sides of a quilt. And that was challenging to get them to line up.
And not only embroidered on both sides of the quilt, but embellished on both sides of the quilt with rhinestones.
Right.
Just a beautiful piece. Yeah. Renae, what did you do this morning?
I ran really far. I'm training for a
far?
marathon, and I ran 20 miles. This is my last training run.
She ran 20 miles this morning, and then here she is with me. So, Renae, you're a crazy woman, but I'm so glad that you took this afternoon to show us your neat technique for using this tool that you have. What's the name of the tool?
This is called Renae's Mini Rays.
What can we do with this tool?
I designed it to draw radiating lines and circles.
And I should say that Renae is a long-arm quilter, so she uses this to mark the lines for your long-arm quilting.
Right.
But it certainly could be used for marking the lines for a domestic machine.
Right. And also for piecing. I use it for drafting patterns.
Right. Mm-hmm. So show me how this tool works.
I like to use it on one of these white pinnable mats because I can stick a pin into these. Are you familiar with those mats?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I do is I determine the center of whatever it is I'm marking, and that's where the tool will attach, and I line up the hole there of the center and put a pin through it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is two pieces. I have a circle, and that's sort of like a protractor. It's divided into 64 divisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the arm, and it has holes on the arms that I can drop a pin into and draw a circle.
Okay. So what are some other ways we can use this? Because you said you use it for marking straight lines.
Mm-hmm. Now I line up my fractions with those lines, and then I can use this to draw radiating lines by moving this along and lining it up on each side. Then I have equally spaced radiating lines.
Wow.
So then I can use these lines to draft a mariner's compass type block. Like what I've done here, I drew my circles,
mm-hmm.
and then my lines, and then connect the dots with a straight ruler where the radiating line crosses the circle.
Right, so that's just connect the dots.
Right.
So you can make your pattern and then use that pattern.
Cut it apart, and then use the rings that are left to do the paper foundation.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Right. Well, that's a pretty neat thing.
Thank you.
Here's a place where you've used the straight lines for quilting.
I wanted circle here to be the spine of my feathered wreath, and so I dropped my pin in, drew my circle, and then I quilted on the circle, and then I quilted my feathers using that as the wreath.
So here's another piece where you've used the tool to draw the circles here, and then you use the protractor portion of it. How did you use that to do this quilting here?
Okay. I had radiating lines coming out like this, and then each place that radiating line crossed my circle, I just connected the dots and did straight lines between them.
Oh, okay, so it's just like connect the dots, and then by going back over the other way, you've got those diamond type shapes.
Right.
Oh, that's pretty neat. I see on this next piece here,
it's the exact same principle. So then once those lines are done, I use the arc tool to draw the curved line. And on a long arm, we use this to help stitch our guiding.
Right.
I mean, guide our stitching. We place that down and move the machine along the edge.
Right, but those of us with a regular sewing machine can draw the lines using this tool.
That's right.
And then just use that for free motion
That's
stitching.
right.
What kind of long arm machine do you have?
I have an A1 Elite.
Ooh, I bet that's a lot of fun.
It is.
How many hours a day do you spend doing that?
Oh, it depends on the day. Some days I work a lot of hours and quilt dawn to dusk, and other days I might not get there. I'm maybe doing piecing or something different.
And do you want to try and describe how you made the square on here?
Sure. I like this trick because you can come up with an equal square that is centered correctly on your quilt.
And wouldn't that be a good thing to learn?
What you do is I drew a circle that's as large as the outer point that you want of your square. So I drew my 16 radiating lines, but here on the quarter lines, on the fourths, I drew a straight line from point to point.
Right.
And that's how I got the square.
You know, this piece is really fascinating because I see how you've used the tool to create the curved shapes here. So how did you do this curved line?
The curved cross-hatching I do by, I have the radiating lines marked. So I take my arc template and I put that down where these lines cross the circle again. And if I want 6 diamonds, or it's not exactly a diamond shape, but 6 of these, I would move over 6 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is what I did here. Then I lay that down and draw that line, and that's how I get curved cross-hatching. You could do the same thing with straight lines, and then you'd have straight cross-hatching instead of curved.
Well, that is a really neat trick.
Thank you.
And then you go back and you fill it in with these really neat designs.
If you want to.
You know, there's just something about long arm quilting that is so intriguing. I keep wanting a long arm quilt, but where would I put it?
They are big.
They are big, but they are faster.
But they're, they're a lot of fun to
So tell me about this piece.
Now this has the same principle as I put a square. So I did this circle.
Right.
And then I did a square.
Right.
Then I did a square opposite.
Right.
So that's how I got the A-pointed star.
Right.
Then I took the tool and I put this as my center point and did radiating lines out from this center. Those lines were there, and then I stitched the feathers in the lines.
You know, it's really neat because it's a lot of connect the dot. It's just like pick the dot and pick the other dot and then just be consistent about where you're marking the line.
That's exactly
and then go
what
back,
it is.
back and fill it in. Now this piece behind us is absolutely gorgeous. And not only is it gorgeous, it's two-sided. So this is the black side that you're seeing. Tell us about this piece.
It has embroidery on both sides. I wanted to do something that wasn't circular because sometimes I've done a lot of circles and I wanted to do something different. So I did columns.
So the embroidery is on the other side of this, on the white side.
Right. I have an embroidery shape that is this shape right here.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's embroidery.
Yeah. Well, if you want to give this technique a try, you can go to Renee's website where she has these tools available.
The smaller one is called Renee's Mini Rays, and the larger one is called Renee's Amazing Rays. And then I also have a video that is geared specifically for long arm quilting. So it shows how to use these tools in long arming.
Well, let me throw a little curve to you. I want to ask you one more question. What is your life philosophy?
My life philosophy? Oh, that is a curve. Well, quilting I do because I enjoy it, but it's not all I do. I do a lot of things, and I think you need to have a lot of things in your life for it to be full.
Yeah.
And my family and my family and friends come first, and quilting comes second, and that way I don't run dry, I think.
Yeah. So. Oh, that's a great philosophy. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Renae.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you'll come back next month to see what I have for you then. Thanks for being with me.